In the serene town of Sweet Sand, a storm was brewing. The Silent Bell, a priceless artifact, had been stolen from the town's historic museum, sending waves of panic through the community. This silent bell had been in the Sweet Sand for many years, and it was the most treasured artifact in the town. It was the most tourist attraction artifact and made the town famous. It was believed to possess magical powers. Detective Evelyn Harper, new to Sweet Sand, was on the case. Her reputation for solving the toughest crimes preceded her, but this small-town mystery would test her in unexpected ways. "This is my crime scene. Who are you, and what are you doing here?" Detective Evelyn turns and sees Detective Daniel Cooper standing, putting on gloves. "I am Detective Cooper, and this is my town, hence my case." He seems very bothered, like he doesn't want anyone interfering. Detective Evelyn tells him that she was brought here for this case and that she is the best, so whether he likes it or not, she is staying. Detective Cooper smiles and welcomes her to Sweet Sand. But was these a genuine smile or a fake one? The suspects were many. Max Thompson, the anxious curator, Mayor Lila Green, under pressure to recover the bell, Jimmy Lawson, the ever-helpful handyman, and Sophie Wood, the tour guide. All these suspects had motives to steal the bell, considering that it was worth a great fortune. Jimmy Lawson, the ever-helpful handyman, was the first to be interrogated by both Detective Evelyn and Cooper. He was just a handyman, but lately he seemed tired and wanted more according to the detective sources. "Of course I want a good life. Who doesn't? But me not take the bell. I want to have mansion, beautiful wives, and many, many children and cows and sheep. If I had, I would be long gone to Mexico maybe," he said. The detectives were left silently laughing at what Jimmy said. But did his story seem believable? Detective Cooper called in the next suspect, Max Thompson, the anxious curator. "So tell us where you were on the night the bell was stolen," asked Detective Cooper. "I was at home making dinner for my wife and kids." "So you were with your wife and kids?" asked Detective Evelyn. "Yes, I was at home with her and my children. Is there any reason I am repeating myself?" he asked angrily. "Funny you should ask, because we have just received a report that your wife divorced you a month ago and moved out with the kids for being too obsessed with the silent bell. She claims you only cared about the bell and had no time for them. True or false?" asked Detective Evelyn. Max Thompson was left speechless after the detectives found out that he was lying about his whereabouts. He later found his speech and said, "It is true that I was fixated on the silent bell. I was studying it to see whether it had mystical powers. But the truth is that night I was with Sophie Wood. Since my wife left me, I became lonely and found solace with Sophie. I don't want anyone to know my wife left me. Because of my behavior, that is why I lied." The detectives looked at each other in amaze, but still had to check if his alibi checked out. Sophie Wood was the next suspect. It was getting dark, and the detectives were tired. Detective Cooper asked Detective Evelyn out for coffee on their way home. With his enchanting smile, Detective Evelyn couldn't help but accept the invitation. "I was out with Max Thompson on the night of the theft," Sophie said immediately. She entered into the office. She was so nervous, like she knew something. She couldn't contain eye contact and looked really uncomfortable to be in there. "Relax, Miss Sophie," Detective Cooper said, smiling. "Why do you look so anxious? We have checked yours and Mr. Max's alibi, and they check out. You are free to go." "But wait, I have some more questions," said Detective Evelyn, but before she could finish, Detective Cooper cut her off and told her it was getting late and that her alibi checked out. Detective Evelyn could not help but wonder that there was more to the story. "We uncovered people's secrets, but nothing of who stole the bell," Detective Evelyn said with a frown on her face as they walked to the coffee shop. Detective Cooper reassures her that they will find out who the culprit is soon. After having the cup of coffee, Detective Evelyn goes to her room. She starts brainstorming and gathering all papers and documents about the silent bell. She starts putting pieces together on a whiteboard, and alas, she has found something really interesting and makes a phone call. The following morning, Detective Evelyn wakes up with a very big smile, ready to go to work. When she arrives, she finds Detective Cooper reading a book reluctantly in their office. She then rounds up all the suspects together in the police station, together with Detective Cooper, who is confused, doesn't know what Detective Evelyn has uncovered. The townspeople were also present. What had she uncovered? Jimmy Lawson, Max Thompson, and Mayor Lila Green are cleared of all suspicion, she said with a smile. But we have not interrogated the mayor. How can she be cleared? Asked Detective Cooper. The one who orchestrated the theft is Detective Cooper, and Sophie Wood as his accomplice, she said aloud. Everyone was gravely astonished at what Detective Evelyn said. They could not believe it. I think you need a good proper sleep, Detective. You are out of your mind thinking I could steal from my own people, my own town, Detective Cooper said, trying to convince everyone that she was wrong. She said to everyone, yesterday when I got into my room, a lot of things were not adding up. I started to go through my files, the history of the silent bell, and that is when I saw some of the founders who found the silent bell and kept it for years. And one of the founders was Detective Cooper's grandfather. Yes, I know some of you will say that this is a good reason to protect it, not to steal it, right? Well, no. Cooper's grandfather believed that the silent bell possessed magical powers which he believed didn't belong to the museum. He wanted the bell for him and his family only, but died before he could have it, which led me to Detective Cooper motives. As Detective Cooper said, this is his town, so he knows everything and everyone. He approached Sophie, asked her to give him the blueprints of the museum and tell when the coast will be clear. No people around. Then he stole the bell and hid it well, somewhere he knows people won't go searching. Then the following morning, he shows up to work, that is, finding the missing bell. I made a phone call last night to the Mayor Lila Green, asked her to give me all access to the phones and cameras database. Detective Evelyn gives a tape to a police officer and plays it. She continues. Here is footage from the police station the night of the robbery. We clearly see Detective Cooper driving a truck, and he is carrying the silent bell and hiding here in the police station's basement, a place no one would go looking. Detective Evelyn also provides evidence of the phone messages between Detective Cooper and Sophie Wood. Detective Cooper followed his grandfather's agenda and stole the silent bell. He was arrested together with Sophie for the theft. Detective Evelyn is praised, applauded, and thanked by the townspeople for the commendable great work of solving the mystery. Mayor Lila Green was so pleased and offered her a home in Sweet Sand. With the bell returned, peace was restored to Sweet Sand. Detective Evelyn had solved the mystery, and the town could breathe easy once more. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling adventure in Sweet Sand. Stay tuned for more mysteries, twists, and turns. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more intriguing stories.